Hello again! In the previous episode, we created a spring that bounces the player to the sky. In this episode, we will set up the game objects for turret and projectile and write few bits of code. However, we will finish the turret in the next episode. Okay, let's start by making some preparations to the level first. Select the block sprite from the sprites folder. We will do the familiar procedure again. Change the sprite mode and then slice the sprite with the cell size of 128 by 128. You can close the sprite editor when you're done. These blocks are meant to serve as walls and platforms that you can use in level design. Now, drag any of the 6 blocks to the scene and rename it as block. Then change the layer to ground and give the game object a box collider. The collider is a little bit too big. Change the X and Y values to 1.24. And finally, drag the block into the prefabs folder. Place the block in some nice place, but keep it in the air. We will use this level as our testing ground, so you don't need to care about playability and appearance at the moment. You can redesign all the levels at the end of this course when all the features have been implemented. Next, drag the turret sprite to the scene and place it next to the block. Change the layer to ground and order in layer to -1. We assign the turret to the ground layer because we want that the player can jump while standing on it. Then it's time for the box collider. Adjust the size of the collider so that it covers the turret roughly. Next, we need to define the coordinates where the projectile will be created to. One option is to create an empty game object and use its position. So, create an empty game object and name it as fire position. It needs to be a child of the turret, so that when we move the turret, the fire position also moves with it, and we don't need to move them separately. Remember to reset its position as well. Now, change the empty game object's position to 0.5 on x-axis. Okay, the turret is now prepared. Then it's time for the projectile. In the sprites folder, there is a sprite called projectile. Once again, we need to do some slicing. So, change the sprite mode to multiple and slice the sprite with a cell size of 128 by 128. Then drag the projectile _0 into the scene and rename it as a projectile. Since we want the projectile to go behind the turret, change its order in layer to -2. Also, we need to create a new tag. Name the tag as projectile and assign it to the game object. Next, we will attach some components. Surprisingly, first one is the box collider. Adjust the size so that it roughly covers the main body of the projectile. Second one is a rigid body. Since we don't want the projectile to fall down because of gravity, we need to set the body type to kinematic. Also, we need to enable the use of full kinematic collisions so that the projectiles don't fly through the walls. Soon the projectile is ready. Let's just assemble the animation so that we can get into code. While projectile is selected, create a new animation clip and name it as projectile. Then drag the first frame to the timeline. Next one after it to 0.05 seconds. Add the rest of the frames in the order they are numbered, leaving always 0.05 seconds between them. When you're done, click on the play button to see how the animation looks like. It should be rolling nicely, like this. We don't need to go to the animator window because this is the only animation the projectile has. It will be played and looped automatically. Great! Both of the game objects are now set. Before going to code, drag both of them into the prefabs folder. We need two scripts, one the projectile and one for turret. Let's start with the projectile. Create a new script and name it as projectile. After you have attached the script to the game object, remember to apply the changes to the prefab. Then, open it for editing. We will write quite simple code here. We need to destroy this object when it hits something and ignore the collisions with other projectiles. Write void on collision enter 2D, collision 2D, other. Inside of it, we will write a simple if-else statement. Write ifother.gameobject.tag projectile. Then, inside of the if statement, we want to ignore the collisions with other projectiles. This will be a new command. Write physics2d.ignore collision parentheses. Then in parentheses, we need to define the two colliders that should ignore each other. The one that has the script and the one that collides with it. How do we refer to these colliders then? To this game object, we can refer directly through the getComponent command. Write getComponent collider2d, comma. In this case, we don't need anything before getComponent. The other one is quite simple too. Write other.gameobject.getComponent collider2d. Then we need to destroy this game object when it hits with anything else. This will also be a new command. But first, write else in curly brackets. Then, destroy, parentheses, and inside of them we need to specify what we want to destroy. In this case, we want to destroy this game object. So write game object there. There is also one optional parameter for time if we would like to destroy the game object after X amount of seconds have passed. But for now, we can leave it as it is. With this setting, the game object will be destroyed instantly. If you want to read more about destroy, ignore collision, or any other function or command, you can search them up from Unity scripting reference. This script is now done. Just remove the start and update functions as we don't need them. Then save the script and return to Unity. It's time to remove the projectile from hierarchy. But before you do, make sure that it is a prefab. Great! We are now done. It's time to have a short break and continue later. In the next episode, we will finish the work on the turret. Remember to save the scene. See you there!